The first thing you could do is you can take any kind of hand towel or dish rag, roll it up, like a nice big tube, stick that in the back of your knee joint, and then you're basically going to try and work into full knee flexion with that joint. So right now this doesn't do a whole lot for me because I can hit this end range motion of flexion, and so you can work on it a little better by sitting down on your tibias and flexing your knee. So right here, you know, this can be referred to as flexion gapping. It's trying to like gap the flexion type movement, but what's more so occurring is that the presence of this thing is providing an obstruction to the structures on each side of the knee. And what that's basically doing is just providing a massage on them while they're in flexion, which it's hard to do that without maybe an expert massage person. So right now what I'm doing is kind of just rocking back and forth. I'm specifically working on the outside portion of my knee, right where that attachment of the popliteus is, right where the hamstrings come down to cross the knee joint, right where the gastrocnemius, the big calf muscle, comes up to cross the knee joint, and right where my IT band comes down on the lateral portion of the knee. So I'm kind of rocking back and forth, applying a little bit more stress with my hands to push my vastus lateralis, which is just this part of the quad on the side here, to push it down into the towel. So we can get a little massaging in that area. You can get the same thing on the medial portion. I'm adding in a little bit of extra force, and basically what I'm doing is just massaging all the structures right in here with that towel while I'm in flexion. So that can help kind of alleviate those structures, and you can also kind of hit up that popliteus a little bit on the back of the knee. Just remember that it's deep to the gastroc, so it's not easily massaged, but maybe working this and it will kind of alleviate all the tension in the area. The second thing you could do is get a bike inner tube band. Some of you call these voodoo bands, which I think is an irritating term, and I'll address that in a future post and video, but you can just make this out of a bike inner tube. It's pretty simple. Anyway, you can wrap your proximal calf area right below the knee pretty tightly with this, and it doesn't have much to do with increasing blood flow and all that stuff to it, but what it's doing is actually working on some structures. Again, I'll talk about this again in a future post and everything, but you can wrap it up, take it through a full range of motion in the knee, go full knee flexion, pull it to your butt, and then you can actually physically laterally immediately rotate at the knee here, and that's just going to work on the structures in the same way that the towel did. You can also use a heavy ace bandage on the same area, and there are some more uses you can get out of an ace bandage that you can't get out of one of these bands, and I'll address that in a future post. But you could use either one of these things to work on this specific area, and you can even use another one to hit up that suprapatellar pouch, these hamstrings and stuff. Just releasing tension at the knee overall is one way that you can prevent this injury from occurring. Keep in mind that this popliteal type injury can be avoided if you listen and not point your toes too far forward when you don't have the mobility to do so. Remember that the key is having the mobility. If you don't think you have the mobility, you don't. Remember that one of the requisites to point your toes forward like this in a loaded squat is to be able to do the paleo squat and shove your knees out with your chest up without falling over and without tweaking something. If your normal squat stance is here, a 45-degree angle, then I suggest bringing it in slightly. Maybe here, around 30 degrees perhaps. I don't think it should ever be 45 degrees, but 30 degrees is fine for most people. If you normally squat here, then move it in a little bit. Maybe that's 20 degrees. Who cares? Just move it in just a little bit. The point is that you shouldn't put yourself in a position that is going to have the tweak, because I told you not to do that. But if you do that, now you know what is going on at the popliteal area in the back of the knee that is causing that injury, and now you have some ways to actually work on those structures to prevent it from occurring in the future.